Hey guys, it's Julian from Beneath the Bunk Studios and BeneathTheBunk.com. I hope you're doing wonderfully today. We are Beneath the Bunk, discussing why I write and record in Cubase and mix and master in Pro Tools. Let's get into it. So before talking about the specifics, I just wanted to say that a lot of this is just preference-based. It's just feel-based. It's like, I like the feel of writing and recording in Cubase, and I like the feel of mixing and mastering in Pro Tools. Some of it, there's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's just what I like better, and the same will apply to you. However, what I'm talking about in this video is very specific things that I can do in Pro Tools that I can't do in Cubase, and vice versa. So moving over to Cubase, you're going to notice that I have a MIDI track that is getting ready to get good drums, modern and massive. And on this MIDI track, I have some MIDI that I programmed before I started this video to demonstrate some of what I'm going to be talking about. So the first specific reason that I really like to write and record in Cubase rather, and instead of Pro Tools, is these wonderful kit names and drum maps that I've programmed on the left side of the screen. So if you take a look at it, you'll notice that I have different kit pieces on each key. So for example, on this one, I have all kicks. On this one, I have all snares. This makes it really easy for me to go like, okay, let's say I want straight 16th notes on my rack tom. I just hold Alt, left click and drag, and we got straight 16th notes on my rack tom. It's that easy. It's really fast. I don't have to go in Pro Tools and, just go through the piano roll and just drag and find the note that I want with the piano roll without any names and just hope that I find the right one, or memorize what kit piece is attached to what note. The next thing we're going to talk about here is a wonderful feature of Cubase where you can compress MIDI velocity dynamic range. So let's talk about what I mean here. Let's say that I just got MIDI from somebody and the velocities are all over the place and there's no rhyme or reason to anything that's going on, and I want to fix it, but I don't want to go in and edit each individual note because across a whole song it's going to take me hours and hours and it sounds like 0% fun. What we can do in Cubase to rectify that issue is highlight all the notes that we want to compress the dynamic range on, expand this window, and move over to this little dot on the right side of the screen in the middle. Not on the screen, on the, the velocity map. And we're going to left click and drag and hold down. And then what's happening is the dynamic range of the MIDI is being squashed. It's making it so that the softest notes are louder and the loudest notes are softer. It's just pretty much like a compressor for MIDI almost, if you want to think about it like that. And then what I can do, say I want all of these to be way louder than, around 60 on the velocity meter thing. I can just go up to this top in the middle dot and drag vertically, and then just like that I have a much more aggressive, much more consistent performance, which is much more in the ballpark of what I'm looking for. While you can do something similar in Pro Tools, you could use the MIDI editor thing that they have to set all of the notes to be in a specific range, and then you could randomize them to some degree, and that's all well and good. I just think this is so much faster, and I enjoy using this workflow because it's easier for me. Another point that I'd like to make about writing and recording in Cubase is that if you want to make a couple audio tracks, so let's make a couple audio tracks here, and let's say that we wanted to send both of these audio tracks to a new group or a new aux or bus or whatever you want to call it. I have a keyboard shortcut set up with Control-Alt-G that allows me to make a stereo aux really quickly, add the track, just like that. Both of these tracks, if you look in this section of the screen here, are routed to that new group. Group 33 is what it's named, and over here it says Group 33 on both tracks. Now unfortunately this is not something that's enabled by default within Cubase. You do have to program it yourself, so go to your key commands, and the key command is called mixer add track to selected : group. Now let's say I wanted to do the same thing in Pro Tools. It's not crazily more complicated, but it's definitely not as fast. So I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut to make a new audio track. I'm going to enter, so that is my new audio track right there. Now let's say I want to make an aux for it. I'm going to do the same thing, stereo aux, and we are going to have a stereo aux right there. Now what I'm going to do is take the output of this audio track, find a bus that's not being used, bus 2930, find the input of the bus on the aux track, so bus 2930. Now I want to rename it for organizational purposes, and let's say new aux, that's the name, and now I got my aux set up. Just way more steps and not as easy and concise as it is in Cubase. And obviously, we want easy and concise. Next thing that I'm going to talk about is a feature that I actually don't use that much anymore because I do a lot of my sampling in Battery 4, but I'm going to mention it anyway because I did use it at one time. I got a lot of use out of it, and maybe you will too. So let's say I have a sample over here in my media window that I really want to use. Let's go into this drums pack, and let's find, I don't know, a clap. So let's say we really love that clap sound. I want to use that clap sound for something. I have a keyboard shortcut mapped so that I can have Alt-D, and then just like that, Cubase is going to make a sampler track for me with that sample on it. It's going to show up right in my arranging window, and I'm going to be able to make a MIDI track on it, and a MIDI event on it rather, and then I'm going to be able to zoom in and program my clap part just like that, and it's super fast, super easy. If you want to do that, the keyboard shortcut that I programmed in order to do that is Media, Create, Sampler Track. Cool, now moving on to the mixing side of things in Pro Tools. Why do I mix in Pro Tools? Well, if it weren't for this one thing, there's a good chance I would do everything in Cubase. And that one thing is heat. Heat is a wonderful set it and forget it kind of distortion that is automatically instantiated on every audio track within a Pro Tools session, if you want it to be, of course. What heat does, as you can see on the top of every single mixer track, while I play the audio from this song, this is track 1.52 by Dumpweed, link in the description, you can watch the black little rectangles on each track light up to signify that heat is working. So I'm going to do that really quick. So, like I said, heat is kind of a really nice set it and forget it saturation deal. You can even see that it's working on my voice right now. That's the overall global LED indicator that shows you that heat is working on the whole mix as opposed to just one track. So you have your drive knob here. To your right, you have your tube saturation. On your left, you have your transistor saturation. I think that's what it is. Tone, honestly, I'm not even sure what the tone does. I just leave it at noon all the time, and I usually have it on this drive setting. And if there's ever been a one button make my mix sound better thing, I would say that it's heat. It's beautiful. So now we're going to listen to this track with and without heat. I'm going to be starting it with heat on at this part, and you'll see me click it on and off. So let's hear the song with heat. It's really surprising how obvious the effect is. Like, you can hear that pretty easily. It sounds a little bit brighter. It just sounds like there's like hype. If heat wasn't called heat, it should be called hype, because it just adds this energy throughout the entire frequency spectrum. I feel like I hear more harmonics everywhere, and it just affects everything in such a beautiful musical way that I don't really want to go through the effort of creating myself. Why would I, when I could just use this and eliminate plugins in my plugin chain and save time? That is the most important aspect here. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did or if you didn't, let me know down below. What's your workflow like? Are you using one DAW, using a couple DAWs like I am? Tell me all about it in the comments. I'm curious to hear how other people are working. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Adios.